Okay, today we are going to cover triads, both major and minor, on string set 6-5-4 and 5-4-3, the fat strings. Okay, and the reason why we're just going to cover those two today is they're the same shapes. Okay, you just move them over. Okay, now first of all, there's no Patreon, none of that stuff. Down below, you click on the link and it goes right to the document that has this sheet, which has major and minor triads separated. But for you efficient guys and girls, I have this one, which shows the option for a major or a minor, just designated by that third. So the third is the only thing that's different between a major and a minor. You have a root, you have a third, and you have a fifth if it's a major triad. And the third would be the blue circle. Okay, so those three notes are the triads for major triads on all string sets on this chart. And then that gray box that has the flatted third, that is how you would play a minor triad for all, both root position, first inversion, second inversion, and for all string sets. So these are great tools. Okay, so let's look at the thick strings, the 6, 5, and the 4. Okay, and the first we'll do a root position. Okay, and root position, all that means is the root is on the thickest string. Okay, and this first shape is the root position. Okay, and the sequence, and I've said this in my videos before, the sequence of the strings from top to bottom always goes root 3, 5. It always kind of goes higher. Root 3, 5. If it starts with the third, then it's 5 root. If it starts with the 5, then it's root 3. Okay, so root 3, 5, root 3, 5. So this way you always know where the third is. If you know where the root is, then you know where the third is because it's the next string. And that being said, if you flatten that third, which the chart will show you, then that's the minor triad. Okay, so let's just start with the major triads. Root position. Okay, now you should know your notes on the E and the A string, and I know that note right there, that's an A. So if I make this triad, this is an A chord. It has an A, a C sharp, and an E. Okay, the cool thing about this triad on string set 6-5-4 is if I just move these two fingers down one string and play the next string set, okay, that is a root position, okay, but that is a D, so this is a D chord, okay. And the cool thing about this is if you're playing a song in the key of A, okay, and this is the A chord, and you just drop everything down to the D, you're basically playing the 1 chord, okay, and the 4 chord. And then if you slide that D shape or that D chord up, then you're playing the 5. So you're playing 1, 1, 4, 5, okay? And you use that all the time. But it's good to know where those chords are. Okay, so that's root position, and this is an A. All right, now the first inversion is when we put the third in the bass, okay? And then the second inversion is when we put the fifth in the bass, all right? Or the lowest string. So the shape for the first inversion, if the third is on the bass, the 5 is in the middle, and the root is on the thinnest string, okay? So for this shape, and if we're gonna play all A's, we're gonna have to find an A on that string, on the D string, and it happens to be right up there. So the first inversion looks like this. Okay, that's an A. It sounds just like this. difference. When you play a root position triad, it's kind of a stronger, has a stronger character for that chord because it's an A chord and the A's in the bass. But many times you're playing with a bass player and you can play the triad, and this is an A chord, but the third is in the bass. That's a C sharp. Okay, now, if that's the one, and we just move that whole shape down to the next string set, that's a D, okay? That's the 1, that's the 4, and of course, that's the 5. Okay, so get used to that 1, 4, 5 and how easy it is just to switch over, okay? The second inversion, we put the 5th in the bass, and now the root's in the middle, right? Because it's always 5, root, 3, 5, root, 3, 5. Okay, so the A, if we're just going to play A chords, okay, we started with the root there. We got to find that A, which is up here on the 12th fret, and play the second inversion shape, which is kind of like an E-shaped chord, okay, but only on the first string set. So you're playing it up on the 12th fret, and you have a 5th in the bass, okay? So you're basically playing 12, 12, 11. And if you move that whole shape over down in one string set, that's the D. Slide it up, and that's an E, 1, 4, 5. All right? So that's the majors, and just get familiar with those shapes and just moving it. Now, in that root position, what I tend to do, rather than just taking my index finger and holding that one string there, so I'm not necessarily putting one finger on one string. With that index finger, I'm almost using it as a bar, so it's an easy switch to that 4 chord or that D chord. All right. Let's look at minors. Now, minors, if you know the majors, you know the minors, because the minor, we're just taking that third, okay, which in the root position, the string after the root would be the third, so we're just dropping it down. So it's just going to be a slightly different shape, as you can see. I don't think I use this too much when I play an A minor. I'm playing it up there, but and move that whole shape over. Okay, that's a D minor. That's the A minor. Okay, let's look at the first inversion. Again, the major first inversion was this. Okay, and where's that third? The third is in the root, so we just drop it down one. And we can just drop this, go over to the next set of strings. That's a D minor, A minor, D minor, Okay, so the second inversion, we're going to put the root on the middle string, or in this case the A string. It's up here on the 12th fret. So we're going to use this shape, where we're playing 12, 12, 10. Because we flatten that third to make it a minor. So that's an A minor. And then if we drop it all down, that's a D minor. Up to an E minor. Okay, so that's the second inversion with the fifth in the bass. So there's your major and minor triads on string set 654 and 543. Take advantage of the charts, print them out, use them, practice them, and you'll see on the charts there's the other string sets as well. But today we just focused on the fat string sets. Okay, all right. Good luck. Subscribe. Appreciate it. Any comments? Drop them down below. Thanks.